reverends.
Good morning, Facebook friends, and good morning, live audience. This is Sunday Live Dharma, and please join me in Qigong exercise. Hands down, gently shake your hands. And gently bounce. Keep shaking your fingers, wrists, hands, your arms. Let's lean to your left side, to your right, and lean forward, and lean backward, back to center, and gently move your body side to side. And slowly stop shaking. Hands on your waist and gently turn around your ankle, toes. The other side. Good. Now hands on your knees and circle your knees. And reverse the direction. Come up, hands on your hips and round your hips. And reverse. Reverse. Now make it a little bigger. And reverse. And come back, palms up, fingers in, back side, back to center again. Gentle and soft. Three, two, one. Arms down, shoulders up, down, up. Breathe in, breathe out, down, and roll your shoulders front to back, back to front. Once again. good. Now arms up. Your right arm forward, left arm backward. Swing them down, swing them up. Good. Down, up, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3. Now reverse. 3, 2, 1. Arms down, down, down. Cross your arms. Up, open, down. Gently close your mouth. Breathe in. Breathe out through your nose. Once again, breathe in and breathe out. And arms up, palms facing down, arms down. Again, breathe in, breathe out. Once again, breathe in, breathe out. Open your chest to your left. Your left arm goes back. Bend it from your elbow and glide it forward. Switch your arm. Breathe in. Breathe out. Again, breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now grab a circle, right center. Upper hand down, lower hand up. Back in center, grab a circle, same way to your left. One more round to your right. Come back to your left. And swirl your arms. Locate your right arm down. Good. Turn your body to your right. 1. Back to center. 2. One more time. Come back. 1 to your right. Come back. 2 to your left. And switch your arms location here. Bring them together to your right. Switch to your left. Switch to your right. Switch left. Keep waving your arms. Now both arms down. Your left arm, left leg, go up together, down, right side up, down, up, down, and up, and down, and arms up. High, open, down. Palms up to your chest, palms out to front and push your arms out. Good, bring your arms back in, down and out. Good, bring them in. Your left foot out, push your palms out. Come back. And out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Your left foot in, right foot out, same way. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in, arms out, palms meet together, down, 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 all the way down. One more time, arms up, and arms gathered down in front of your heart center. Now please join me in bowing practice to the Dharmakaya Buddha fourfold grace. Grace of heaven and earth. Grace of parents. Grace of fellow beings. Grace of laws and universal principles. Please take your seat and be ready for your practice today.
일원 성화 Irwan is the realm of samadhi, beyond words and speech, the gateway of birth and death, transcending being and non-being. The origin of heaven and earth, parents, fellow beings and laws, the true nature of all Buddhas, enlightened masters, unenlightened people and sentient beings. One manifest as both permanence and impermanence. Viewed as permanence, one just as it is and ever abiding, naturally unfolds into an infinite world. Viewed as impermanence, one unfolds into infinite worlds through the cycle of formation, duration, decay, and extinction of the universe, and the birth, aging, illness, and death of all things, according to how we use our minds and bodies. In the four forms of birth, we transform through the 6 realms of existence, progressing or regressing, allowing grace to arise from harm or harm from grace. We unawakened beings vow to practice wholeheartedly, modeling ourselves after Ilwan Sang, the Dharmakaya Buddha, by cultivating our minds and bodies perfectly, knowing human affairs and universal principles perfectly, and using our minds and bodies perfectly, thus progressing rather than regressing, and receiving grace rather than harm, until we attain the great empowerment of you one and become one with the nature of il one.
Good morning, friends. It's another beautiful day, and how nice to take this time to pause and check our breath. I use silent meditation sometimes as a way to check the energy level or my physical condition, breathing condition, and my body seems to be very honest about how I lived, what I have been eating, and how much I have been mindful or unmindful. Let us take this time to deeply get in touch with our physical and mind, mental, emotional state. Be friend with wherever we are. Through each breath, we accept and embrace and deeply investigate in our silent sitting together. If you're not yet in this comfortable position, please make sure you sit very comfortably. You're welcome to use your hand mudra like this and this, and relax your shoulders, hands down to your belly button and below your belly button. And relax your whole hands on your thighs, or any hand mudra posture that seems to bring the most centering and peaceful awareness this morning for you. Dear friends, let us sit together about 10 to 15 minutes, and each time say hello to your breath. We breathe together. Whenever thoughts arise, we breathe out. Release our thoughts so we feel lighter and freer. Thank you for creating this very special energy, peace container together. 천지연기야 심정 만사여야 심토 천지요와 동일체하여 천지동심정 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 천지연기야 심정 만사여야 심통 천지여와 동일체하여 천지동심정 천지연기야 심정 만사여야 심통 천지여와 동일체하여 천지동심정 천지연기야 심정 만사여야 심통 천지여와 동일체하여 천지동심정. Please join your palms together and join your hearts together. Prayer for world peace, grace of heaven and earth, grace of parents, grace of fellow beings, grace of laws. O Dharmakaya fourfold grace, may we take refuge in Dharma and be filled with the compassion and wisdom. May we transform delusion into wisdom, greed into generosity, resentment into gratitude, discord into harmony, and hatred into compassion. May all nations grow and benefit mutually. May the strong help the weak, and may the weak learn and evolve according to Dharma. May all those who have died from world conflicts and disasters be delivered through all obstacles and be at rest. May there be peace throughout the world, and may all beings enjoy tranquility and happiness, living in their original true nature. This we pray with our whole hearts. Sutra chanting 일원상 vow. 일원상 vow. One is the realm of samadhi beyond words and speech, gateway of birth and death, transcending being and non-being, the origin of heaven and earth, fellow beings and love's true nature of all Buddhas, enlightened masters, unenlightened people, sentient beings. One manifests as both permanence and impermanence, permanence in one unfolds into an infinite that is ever abiding, spontaneous, just as it viewed as impermanence, till one unfolds into infinite was through the cycle of formation, duration, decay, extinction of the universe, and the birth, aging, illness, and death of all beings, according to how we use our minds and bodies in the form attain the great empowerment of Ilwan and become one with the nature of Ilwan.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael. My Dharma name is Wanyong. And today I'm going to offer you some reflections on the Ilwan Song vow. And I'm going to finish up with some special concentration on grace as expressed in the Ilwan Song vow. So I think the Ilwan Song vow is very exciting as a teaching for us to look at and understand. We chant it daily and weekly, and I wonder how deeply people look into what it's saying and what it means, not that I'm claiming to understand it all the way. So the Ilwan Song vow, I believe, for what it's worth, is divided into 4 parts. An introduction, speaking about permanence, speaking about impermanence, and then speaking about the vow and our practice, and pulling it all together. So, beginning with the introduction, Ilwan is the realm of samadhi beyond words and speech. Okay, we've already jumped in with both feet into the deep end. The realm of samadhi beyond words and speech. That indicates that Ilwan might be experienced in deep meditation, but even if it's experienced, we're not going to be able to say a lot about it, really. The experience that we have. You might say Ilwan is the source of everything in the universe, or at least the source of what we can experience in the universe. Goes on to say, the gateway of birth and death, transcending being and non-being. So immediately it says we can't really understand this. It's the gateway of birth and death, so beginning and ending, and then it says immediately transcending being and non-being. So it's kind of like both at the same time. It's pretty interesting. The origin of heaven and earth parents, fellow beings and laws, which is the fourfold grace. The true nature of all Buddhas, enlightened masters, unenlightened people, and sentient beings. The true nature of all living, sentient beings. Maybe the true nature of everything. Okay, then it goes on to talk about permanence. Ilwan manifests as both permanence and impermanence. Viewed as permanence, Ilwan unfolds into an infinite world that is ever-abiding, spontaneous just as it is. This paragraph refers to the truth of Ilwan song, and where it's expressed that as permanent, Ilwan is unmoving, unchanging, infinite, eternal, with nothing ever arising and ceasing, nothing ever presenting itself. It's the background, the space. It's the ultimate. It's the ultimate truth of reality. But it also is the manifestation that we experience in conventional reality viewed as impermanence. Ilwan unfolds into infinite worlds through the cycle of formation, duration, decay, and extinction of the universe, and the birth, aging, illness, and death of all beings. So this unchanging, infinite, and unmarked, permanent space somehow manifests into this impermanent, constantly changing universe of experience that we experience somehow, and everything that we understand and deal with in our daily lives comes as an expression of Ilwan, and yet is totally different than the ultimate nature of Ilwan, and yet isn't, because this impermanent nature is also the nature of Ilwan. As impermanent, according to how we use our minds and bodies, in the 4 forms of birth, we transform through the 6 realms of existence. In other words, what we do and what we think and what we say somehow has an impact on this universe, especially our own universe. It changes the way we actually experience the world. It can move us from a realm of misery and distress, a hell realm, just by using our minds and bodies in an appropriate way, can move us into a heavenly realm. We can progress or we can regress, with grace arising from harm or harm from grace. It's up to us. We have a choice. Again, as part of, and then, well, so what do we do with this? Okay, this is pretty amazing stuff, and, it's deep and profound, and I'm sure I've covered about an iota of it, but then what do we do? So the third part, or the fourth part, I should think, the fourth part, is therefore we unawaking beings vow to practice wholeheartedly, modeling ourselves after Ilwan song, the Dharmakaya Buddha, by cultivating our minds and bodies deeply, knowing human affairs and universal principles thoroughly, and using our minds and bodies skillfully. So how do we use our minds and bodies to progress rather than regress? Well, here's the answer that Master Saitya-san gives us. We have the 3-fold practice: cultivating our minds and bodies, meditation, and deep understanding, knowing human affairs and universal principles thoroughly, studying through learning, through observing, through teachings, through constantly trying to be mindful of what life's experiences are, and then using those first 2 to allow us to use our minds and bodies skillfully so that we can practice non-harming in our life. But we have to be mindful, and we have to have wisdom to carry that out, or even if we think we're living a good life, maybe we're not. And so these three together, intertwining and circling among themselves, are the path that we can follow to get to the last part, thus progressing rather than regressing and receiving grace rather than harm, until we attain the great empowerment of Il-One and become one with the nature of Il-One. Meaning, in my mind, until we reach a level where actually we directly experience the permanence of Il-One, rather than think of it as an interesting idea. We have the direct experience of Il-One through this practice and our continuing efforts. One other thing I wanted to say before I talk about grace is there's the word in both, in viewed as permanence and viewed as impermanence, which seems to me to speak to that this permanent and impermanence is something we experience. It's not just something we think about. It's not just an idea. It's something that in our life we directly experience. And we directly experience everything in the world through our through our direct experience, not just through our ideas or our education, but rather an embodied view of reality that this Il-One song is talking about and this practice is leading us to. So coming back to grace, because this is the month of gratitude, Thanksgiving month, grace is mentioned 2 times directly and 1 time indirectly in the Il-One song vow. So the 2 times directly are as impermanence. According to how we use our minds and bodies in the 4 forms of birth, we transform through the 6 realms of existence, progressing or regressing, with grace arising from harm or harm from grace. The implication of this seems to be that what we do can either bring us joy or bring us sorrow, can bring us suffering or bring us happiness. And it's how we understand the world and how we act in the world that can lead us in this. And the idea of harm from grace or grace from harm is that in a lot of ways, what's happening in the world to us, our experience in the world, doesn't dictate how we're going to feel, doesn't dictate whether we're going to suffer or not. It's our attitude towards what's happening that dictates how we're going to experience it. So it's proposing that how you live and how you think about things can either make things worse or make things better. And then it says later that if you practice the 3-fold practice, then you're likely that you will progress towards enlightenment and you will receive grace rather than harm. The third place that grace is mentioned is indirectly when it talks about modeling ourselves after Il-One song, the Dharmakaya Buddha. And then when we today read the prayer for world peace, I noticed that it said Dharmakaya Buddha 4-fold grace, which to me indicates that somehow Il-One song, Dharmakaya Buddha, and 4-fold grace are somehow interconnected and equivalent. And I've talked about this another time, that Dharmakaya Buddha 4-fold grace seems to be that the 4-fold grace is modeling the mind of the Buddha to us in action. The 4-fold grace shows us how to live grace in our life, how to model ourselves on the Buddha and his actions, how to be a Buddha until we are a Buddha. And so, to me, the ultimate grace is the Dharmakaya Buddha fourfold grace in this teaching. So, I had a lot of other thoughts that I've now forgotten, but I certainly appreciate you letting me share what I was able to remember, and thank you for being with me. And I believe that if you have questions or responses to what I've said, we're going to have some questions and answers from your giving questions or responses in the chat, and then I will try and have an appropriate response.
So here's the first question from me.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
How do you experience Ilwan in your everyday life? Do you often find yourself consciously thinking of it in everyday practice? Or is it something that you are unconsciously aware of?
I think it's both, but my understanding of it would be that as we practice, it becomes something we're unconsciously aware of, more than consciously aware of, that it becomes a part of us, that it isn't something we have to think about in order to make meaning in our life. We become it. And so when we are Ilwan, then we're not thinking about Ilwan. We just are Ilwan.
Thank you, Michael. Maybe one more question from our live audience. Cynthia, Laura, Ben. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
And page 13, let us sing morning prayer song together.
Buddha, fourfold grace, I begin a new day in your presence. Today full of health and with peace of mind. May I walk along the path of the Buddha. Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace. I begin a new day with your grace. Today gratefully and with gentle words, may I live in harmony with all those I meet. Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace. I begin a new day with compassion. Today making the world a more loving place. May I do all that I can for one world.
Dear friends, thank you for joining us today, this morning. And we'll come back next Saturday at 10 a.m. Please stay well.